Good afternoon. Today is the 15th of June and welcome to episode 4 of Future Past, a week with a 2021 MG5 EV Exclusive. Now this isn't an MG5, it's a Rover 45 V6, and this is the car which we do a lot of our sort of more local journeys in. Most of the time. I'm sorry it's not very clean. I did have it clean last week, but the birds appear to have been doing target practice on it, so it seems to have a few, should we say, bits of defecation on it, which isn't the best, but you know, never mind. The 45 V6 is quite a rare car now. There are about 80 of these remaining, taxed on the road in Britain. They only made 700 of them. The list price in about 2003 of these was £18,000 to £19,000, I think. Not that many people paid that because these cars lost value really quickly. There was a report in about 2008, 2009, which said that a 45 lost sort of like 80% of its value in the first 3 years, which wasn't great, you know, after the MG Rover went bankrupt in 2005. But you know, we like it. Car cost us probably, how do I put this, it wasn't even £2,000. These are not yet real sort of expensive classics, but you know, the MG ZS 180, which is the sort of sports version of this, of a 2.5 litre engine, which is a 2 litre, they are starting to go up in value now. So it was originally based on a mid-90s Honda Civic. This has DNA from the EG series of Civics. We've actually had an EG4 on the channel before, on No Budget Reviews, although they're not No Budget Reviews money anymore. My gosh, those are expensive. But you can buy a 4-cylinder 45 for less than £1,000 in good condition. We've had many of them on No Budget Reviews. So you see we've got fake wood. This is the top of the range connoisseur model, so we've actually got heated seats in this as well. There's cruise control in it. The baggy door cards are just the way it goes. That was typical MG Rover build quality back in the day. And it's a nice, comfortable place to be. The back, well, it's not that spacious really. There's not a lot of room, and you can see there's my driving position, and there's not a lot of room for me to sit in there. So I'm not really going to bother today, actually. Seats are quite nice, so if you do sit in the back, actually I will sit behind. This is my mother's position when she's a passenger. She's quite short, so I can actually get in here, okay. But yeah, your knees have to go quite high. There is a transmission tunnel on the floor as well. The seat itself is quite comfortable. My head is touching the roof as well, so it's not the best. We do have a nice electric sunroof though. That's recently been fixed. Yes, these are rare cars now, and they were rare, well, they were new to be fair. The rear access, if you've got the seat in that position, is alright, but if you don't, then it's not. There is one of the identifying marks of these V6s, and of course it was built in Britain. And we're so proud of it, I had a new flag put on there too. Boot's a bit of a mess, but here we have some common issues that go wrong with these cars. That is the inlet manifold, though it has a sort of issue with you know, the butterfly valves on it, which is supposed to increase the horsepower slightly, having like a variable valve timing thing, but more often than not it just goes kind of wrong. So if we open up the carpet, we can see these cars, when they were new, came with a space saver spare wheel and some safety glasses too, apparently. That's an ashtray out of an old 45 that was scrapped. I don't know why I kept that. Maybe I'm just strange. Yes, I am strange. You know, that's why I have one of these cars. Let's take a look at the propulsion system of this car after just having a brief look at the dash. This is what's called a Project Drive car. So when these cars were new in the year 2000, obviously heavily based on what was known as the HHR Rover 400 series and the Swindon Civic, because those were the first Civics made in Swindon. They introduced a few things, but in sort of late 2002 we had some cost cutting, so we don't have an illuminated keyring. We don't have wooden strips on top of the doors. We have white dials as opposed to black ones, which would have been come with earlier. and all the sort of wood panelling is the same in all the 45s. It was a bit different earlier on, and we have these slightly different seats. So you can see I've got my secret mission documents here, so we might as well just put them in and see if they fit in the glove box, which I think they do. Oh no, those are my other ones. Sorry, they don't. They don't fit in the glove box. But that's the manual in there and stuff. As you can see as well, we actually have some merchandise here today. We'll just take a commercial break and see. We've still got some Lloyd Vehicle Consulting t-shirts, because we don't talk about diesels on this channel. We do talk about electric cars and petrol cars and t-shirts. And also in here, a very nice mug. Now this mug is the last one we have, and it's actually earmarked to go to a viewer at the Lloyd Vehicle Consulting Social on the 24th of July in Hampshire, that you can sign up for. The video description below, but there we are. It's very nice. I do like the design, if I say so myself. Mr. Bill from the Walls Wheels channel helped me do that. But yes, there we go. We have all kinds of exciting merchandise things. Let's put that back. Jatco 5-speed automatic transmission in this car. There was no manual gearbox available on the 45 V6. You can get those obviously on the 180. Very strange position for the switches. Very nice simple controls for everything. That clock doesn't even work. It doesn't matter if a technician on or not, it won't work. Later cars like this one, some of them anyway, didn't get necessarily separate controls for the audio. There's a big hole here where they should be. We got cruise control, and there's a separate switch forward on the dash, but not in any way sort of audio controls. I think it might be this particular car actually had the Becker sat-nav unit that I've got in the house, the standard, so I didn't put them on this particular steering wheel. But yes, the door pockets are really quite tight, and there's the winter mode for the automatic gearbox. These mid 80s Honda type indicator stalks and wiper stalk, indicator stalk, and the fog lights are up here. So the dashboards are not too bad, but a bit of a sort of ergonomic nightmare. And there's the driver's window switch as well. So not that consistent in terms of the quality, but I think we should start her up and just hear what she sounds like, actually. And there we are, Rover KV6 engine, generating 150 horsepower. 0 to 60 in this car is about 9.5 seconds. There is the coolant level, which in the moment is slightly above because I've slightly overfilled it. I am actually getting a new thermostat housing for this car fitted tomorrow, so as long as it's not too low, that doesn't really matter particularly. I have the cruise control actuator fitted this. It needs another service. It's a bit sort of lumpy at the moment because it's cold. But yes, this is the past, and this is crammed into this little engine bay. But we love it really. Of course, we have headlamp washer jets, and also a plinth with a number plate and a different lower grille, which marks us out as a V6 45. I think we should go for a little drive. Right viewers, hopefully you can hear me okay. I've noticed this microphone doesn't get the best sound at the moment, and for that I apologise. So here we go, driving around in the past. Just put the air conditioning on because it does actually work in this car. One of the main differences between this and the MG5 is you can actually feel the gears, you can hear the engine rumbling away, and the range of this car is between 250 and 300 miles. It depends very much on how you drive it. The fuel economy is something like 26 to 29 miles per gallon, which in 2003 was, well, I mean, it was pretty bad, to be honest. Even then it was very bad. That's not why you bought one of these cars. You bought it because of the noise it meant and the sort of luxury you got. The Rover K series engine that was in most of the 45s, apart from the ones we can't talk about because we don't talk about diesels on this channel, was a much rougher sounding unit. They're not actually as bad as people will tell you that they are. They are actually, if you look after them, you have the correct quality head gasket fitted, and you keep on top of the cam belt services and use good quality oil. It can actually be really good engines. KV6 though, loads of problems. You know, a nice sounding engine. The 2 litre engines aren't that powerful. 150 horsepower is really nothing for you know, a V6 2 litre engine. That's really nothing. So the car's not that fast, 0 to 60 in 9.5. It's not helped by this automatic gearbox. 2.5 litre versions though that go into some of the Rover 75s and the MG ZS 180 and the MG ZT. That's a much more versioned engine, and 0 to 60 in an MG ZS 180 is, I think, under 7 seconds actually, so it's a much faster type of car. In terms of the steering and handling, we'll just go round this little roundabout and we'll see. There's a lot of connection through steering. It's a hydraulic setup in this car. Honda suspension system, double wishbone suspension, and it's very, very good. It's very tunable. This is the more luxury orientated version of this platform, and so it doesn't corner quite as well as the MG version, but it's still very, very good. It's still a superb drive, really. It's very, very good. That's one of the reasons why people buy these cars, actually, is because of the way that they drive and the noise of the engine. However, it's just not a very economical way of getting around. Obviously, if you want to refuel the car, you have to use good old dinosaur juice to do that, and your petrol, well, the price which seems to be increasing all the time at the moment, so this is not a cheap car to run. The road tax on this car is quite expensive. I think it's £340 a year or something like that. And because it's an older car as well, you know, but you've got to do things like brakes and tyres and things like that. Although we've done now 6,000 miles over the course of the last year in this car, and we want to hold on to it because I really enjoy it. But you know, the maintenance bill, I don't even want to think about it really. It's been quite high. Once we get this new thermostat housing done, it's the second time we've had a new thermostat housing in the car, then it will be fine actually after that. So yes, there is the past, and an enjoyable past, nevertheless, definitely part of it. And so let's now go back and have a little look at the future that we've been considering over the last week or so. Right, viewers, the MG5 EV. So you can see charger flap at the front. Don't get that on a Rover 45 V6. You also don't get power folding mirrors or keyless entry. Doing one of these. I don't know why the mirrors are squeaking at the moment. It's very strange. Yes, my cable might be getting in the way because I'm trying to use the microphone outside here as well. Very different type of interior. This isn't real leather. There's no wood. Some matte black piano finishing. See if the secret mission documents go in. I think they do actually in this car. Yes, they do. Excellent. That's an improvement then. So you said the console's completely different in this car as well. Let's close that properly. There we are. The doors actually don't feel hugely heavier for the 45, but they do feel a little bit nicely built. Ones on a 45 are a little bit old and light feeling. Much more headroom in here. The thing I've noticed though is this bit where the roof slopes down here. I keep knocking my head on that, which I don't very much like. The room's actually about the same, but you've got to remember this position. This seat's much further back, and got USB ports at the back of here. Also got the rear armrest. Thought to show that under Rover, but we've got one in here. One thing we don't have is this sort of trim stuff, which kind of sags. There's just not anything there, which makes the car feel a little slightly less luxurious, really. That's one downside of the future. So we'll look in the boot. What's interesting about one of these cars is that it's just got a conventional boot. Obviously we've got the charging cables in here, which you don't need in an old petrol car. There's provision as well for a space saver spare wheel in here, as well as a place to store your mini rolls, and a load cover. Now there is a fastback version of this car, even a fastback petrol version of this car available in other markets, but we don't get it over here, which is for Row Way or Row V, depending on how you want to say it, because SAIC, who owns these parent company, don't have the rights to the Rover name, so they don't use it. They use something else. That's why it's difficult to quite agree on what name it is. But like on a Rover, we've got parking sensors on here, and just a very simple way of closing the boot. But we also have a reversing camera. Both, I think, are reasonably stylish at the back. It depends whether you want a saloon or a estate, I suppose. Very different in here, of course. I'm actually just going to switch the car on straight away because the seats are now roasting hot. Get the air conditioning going, and also silence Wave 105 because we don't want any copyright infringement. No normal handbrake, electronic handbrake, rotary gear selector. Just turn up there, and very different climate controls. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, built-in sat-nav, DAB radio. I know the radio in our car is non-standard, but this is obviously very different indeed. I'll have to close that door before we go for a drive, won't I, viewers? Just get rid of that. Just turn that fan down a little bit because I'm sure it's making a bit of a noise. So in normal mode, it says we've got a certain range. Let's just see. We've got in eco mode 182 miles, 89% battery. The Rover, we just knew the fuel was low. Charging time of this car, well, I found it depends. If you're charging from say 40% to 100%, that took me typically just under an hour. Obviously on like a 3-pin wall socket we tried was a lot longer, or a 7 kilowatt charger we also tried was a bit longer, but there is different options. Heated seats, just like the Rover. The climate controls are actually quite simple for a modern car. That's something that a lot of people do like about this, and so do I. I have to remember my secret mission documents. And no wood, but we do have this kind of sort of Arctica leather or faux leather, and no sunroof either. But we have, automatic climate control rather than just standard air conditioning. 2 12-volt sockets in the Rover. You just get the sort of 2 USB sockets, and Rover you just get a 12-volt socket. That's all you get, because at that time it's all you needed. Cruise control is on this stalk now rather than on the dashboard. Got the actual steering wheel buttons for the proper rather than just a sort of excuse for cruise control there. Automatic wipers, automatic lights, and there's the start-stop button and the mirror switch. Also got automatic locking in this car, and there are the switches for it, and the mirror switches are in a normal place. Much bigger door bends. So yes, I think you see this car is a bit more practical, but it's also physically larger than the Rover is. Right, let's see if we can go for a drive. Right, viewers, I'm going to have this air conditioning on quite high because my camera is actually telling me that some functions are disabled by temperature rise. So if it cuts out, we will come back once it's cooled down a bit. But yes, I never like seeing it when it just says that. It's a very different prospect to drive than this. There's no noise from the engine because we've got no engine. We've got regenerative braking, which I'm just going to nip up to level 3. Don't get that in a Rover 45 V6. You also get the reassurance of the 7-year, 80,000 mile warranty. Whereas Rover, I think the maximum we ever got was 3 years, and of course the company went bust in 2005, which wasn't obviously great. So, yes, quite different. I mean, if Rover was still going, would they make a car like this now? I actually think so. I think this would have been the sort of thing they should have been on the market. It's a sort of practical car that appeals to a sort of more traditional type of buyer for what they want. It's not an SUV for a start, it's an electric estate. Efficiency of this car is 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, range is 214 miles, with a WLTP cycle, which I found to be quite accurate. And I said the charging time depends on what sort of source you use for your electricity. But it should be a bit cheaper than a Rover to run because the servicing is so much simpler. We've got no thermostat housings or inlet manifolds or timing belts to change. A Rover's got 3 timing belts and they are very expensive to change and very difficult. This car costs a region of £28,000, which actually, adjusted for inflation, is roughly equivalent to what the Rover cost in 2003, if you can believe that. So they are maybe aimed at the same type of people. I don't know, possibly. Not so much weight on the steering. This is an electric setup with the different modes. You get more weight on the steering if you go for sport, but it's still not the same as a hydraulic setup would be. Both the cars actually ride quite well. This actually is a little bit softer than the Rover, and the ride height's a bit higher on this too, which is interesting. Yeah, it's a very different type of experience going around in this. It's very good. It just depends really what you prefer. And for everyday motoring now, we're not going to worry about whether your car's going to overheat sometimes or how much fuel you're going to buy for it. Then, you know, this is pretty good. But you know, I feel as well with the experience we've had over the last week that sometimes the infrastructure for charging is just not quite there. So a lot of the time it is, don't get me wrong, and it was really good when it works. So you will have to buy your own wall box really for your car to not charge it 2 kilowatts at a 3-pin. Have to stick the cable out the window, which isn't the best. So yes, I think we'll come back with a final word tomorrow, but it's just a very different prospect. They're very different types of car for different types of people, and yet they both appeal to me in the same sort of way. So one thing I haven't shown is the under the bonnet in this car. I didn't do the engine bay because there is no engine, but there's nothing to see, just a big plastic cover. And on the walls, on the Tweed Jacket review that we did of this car, and also on the review you'll see the car on Wells Wheels YouTube channel, you'll see the engine compartment, or what would have been the engine compartment on the combustion model of these sold in other countries. There's nothing to see, so I don't think we need to see that because there's nothing to see. Yes, servicing I think is really cheap on these because there's just nothing to actually see. There's just nothing. So yeah, it's a very different thing in that respect. Right, yes, so we'll see you tomorrow with one final little bit of video, but I hope you found that comparison to be interesting. Good afternoon. Today is the 16th of June and different shirt, different day. I'm just on my way to the station in Eastleigh to collect the MG delivery driver. So it's the final stages of my time with this car. We will briefly look at the sat-nav later on. The reason I haven't shown that on screen yet is because I don't want to reveal our address actually on camera, and if I actually you know, started doing that where we lived, it would show everything, and I don't think my lady wife would appreciate it, so that's the reason we haven't done it. I'll also, if I can, very quickly just look at a cost breakdown of how much it's been to actually charge this car over the last, I think it's around 450 miles. You can look exactly in the first video we did, first part, to see what mileage it was on. I'm currently on 2115 miles, which I think, yes, it's about 450. I think it was like 1674 or something like that when we got the car at. So MG have asked me to include as much charge as possible for the delivery driver. I'm on 88%, and that gives you a range in economy mode of 180 miles, so it should be fine for him to get back to wherever he's going. I think he's going to Bristol today, I can't actually remember. So that should be fine. That's why I'm on the rapid charger, BP Pulse charger we used on Sunday. It was the last time we charged the car. That's why I wanted to charge as much as possible. But yes, we've got plenty of charge. One thing I've noticed about this car is actually the suspension's quite soft, and it doesn't really fit in with MG sporting heritage in that way. And in economy mode that I'm in at the moment, because I'm trying to conserve battery, the steering is very light. If you put it in sport mode, it does weight it up nicely. And of course, nipping out of a junction like that, even in economy mode, is very, very easy. That's one of the main advantages of driving an electric car. Of course, in town, like I am today, I'm now in the town centre of Eastleigh. It's incredibly easy. You probably get more than WLTP range of 214 miles if you just literally drove around, you know, middle of a town like this all day. And that's why I think these cars are becoming really popular in places like London and Bath as well, because in Bath it's one of the first places that's actually got the ultra emission zone in place, or clean air zone, for private hire vehicles, and this would make a fantastic private hire vehicle in a city. It would be brilliant. I know that ZSEVs as well are being used for that purpose. I don't like this footrest though. It's been very annoying. When I did the comparison earlier on in the video with the 45 V6, one thing I forgot to mention is that the footrest is in that car is in a much better position than the one in this car. Both automatics, so you know there's nothing that be different about that. They're quite minor issues, these things. I mean, they could be easily solved if a facelifted MG5 EV does come to this country quite soon. I mean, just to see if they deal with some of these things, like the lack of the MG Pilot suite of safety features. Obviously, even on our SsangYong Tivoli, we do have traffic sign recognition and you know, lane keeping assist and things like that, and those are features that are increasingly going to be very difficult for manufacturers not to have in new cars with all the regulations coming in. But yes, we're up the station now, we're just sort of pulling in. I'll try as well to get my electronic bank statement up. I'm not going to show that to you, of course, because I don't usually see all the detailed information, but all I want to do really with that is just to show how much I think approximately this is all cost. And we'll just nip into this bay here. There we go. There we are. Right, let's flip the camera around and let's have a look at certain things, shall we? Real-time test of navigation. I've got the window open because it's really hot in here. Navigation, loading navigation. Right, let's see if we, I don't know, want to go somewhere with a postcode that I just remember off by heart. Accept. Right, so there we are in the centre of Eastleigh, and say we want to go to Banbury. Search by name or category. No, that's not really what I wanted. No, gosh, this is complicated. Buttons there. No, not that. You see what I mean about this, viewers? It's not good. Look at this response. B A N B. I mean, you get used to this, but yeah, there we go. That's the way it works. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Not good, viewers, but there we are. Just use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so you just go back to the main screen. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, that will be better really. So the first charge, which was at the Shell petrol station in Boreham Wood, was £14.35. That was 39% to full. The next charge, which would have been at Instavolt and Banbury, I think that was about 69% to full, £7.59. Third time we charged a Chargemaster, again I think it's about 69% to 94%, that was £6.61. The charge at Gilt's Garage was free. The charge that we did overnight, which was at the end of the second episode at the house, I don't know how much that cost us. That's difficult to say. Probably about a tenth of something like this. So I would maybe £2 or £3, I think. So those are the costs of how much it's been to charge the car over the course of around 450 miles. So it's perhaps comparable to a relatively economical petrol car. The Sanion we have does about 43 miles per gallon on average. So it's because I've been using these rapid chargers, which cost a lot of money, which is why that is a bit higher than it would be. But there we are. That's the end of part 4. A week with a 2021 MG5 EV Exclusive. Thank you ever so much indeed for watching. I hope I get another plug-in car, maybe a plug-in hybrid next time, and we'll have to see about that, and document the journey as well. There are 3 other parts to this, and I'll put a link to those in the description below. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching, and yeah, social media links are down below. Don't forget to click on notifications to be informed of new videos once you've subscribed as well. Thank you.